Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into something big, the strategic mind of Sam Altman and OpenAI. We're trying to understand the blueprint here. It's not just about the AI tools we see. It's about this, well, frankly, massive vision for an AI empire.
Exactly. And the sources we're looking at, they really connect the dots in a fascinating way. You've got the research, the products millions use, but then also these huge, almost scary infrastructure bets needed for their main goal, AGI.
AGI, yeah, artificial general intelligence. And it seems like getting there is forcing changes everywhere. Tech, society, even global energy grids. It's a collision of ambition and, well, physics.
It really is.
Okay, so let's start breaking this down. The first surprising thing is the structure of OpenAI itself. Altman describes it not as one company, but maybe 3 or 4 core businesses rolled into one.
Yeah, which goes against that typical startup advice, right? Focus, focus, focus.
Right.
But he actually admits he was wrong about avoiding vertical integration before. He basically says, look, to get this mission done, we have to do more things than we thought.
Okay, so what are these core pillars then?
Well, first, there's the personal AI subscription. The idea is that most people will end up having, maybe even needing, one or several personal AIs. Think deeply useful, context-aware assistants running through OpenAI's own apps or integrated elsewhere.
That's the part we mostly see today, the user-facing utility.
Pretty much. But then second, and this is where the scale gets really wild, is the mega-scale infrastructure operation. We're not talking just a big data center. He's hinting at potentially one of the largest infrastructure projects in history, period.
Wow. Okay, that changes the game entirely. That's not just tech anymore. That's resources, geopolitics.
Exactly. And the third pillar ties it all together. The core research lab and the AGI mission itself. That's the #1 goal. Build AGI, make it beneficial. And that huge infrastructure, it's mostly there to feed the research compute needs and power the products that come out of it.
So let's pause on that vertical integration point. He compares it to the iPhone, right? Calls it the most incredible product ever, largely because Apple controlled everything.
He does use that comparison.
But isn't the scale different? Apple controlled the OS, the hardware design. OpenAI seems to be aiming for control over core research, the interface, and potentially huge chunks of the energy and chip supply chain. That feels bigger.
It is bigger, no question.
Yeah.
And I think he gets that. The argument seems to be when you're this far out on the frontier trying to do something genuinely new, you can't wait for the market. You can't wait for partners. You have to build it yourself.
Because the need for specialized compute is just so massive.
Exactly. Relying on others would slow them down or compromise the mission. They feel they need that full stack control to clear the path to AGI.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's shift from structure to the tech itself. He sounds incredibly optimistic, saying deep learning is this miracle that keeps on giving.
Yeah, he seems almost surprised himself. Like, they kept thinking, okay, we can't possibly get this lucky again after finding things like scaling laws. But the breakthroughs keep coming.
Can you quickly remind us what scaling laws mean in this context?
Sure. Basically, it's this observation that for a lot of these models, if you just make them bigger, more data, more compute, they predictably get better, smoother, more capable. It gave him confidence that just building bigger would lead to smarter models. And apparently that's held up better than they even expected, pushing reasoning abilities forward.
So how does something like Sora, the video model, fit into this? It looks cool, fun even, but AGI.
Well, the fun part might be a bit deceiving. The key idea he shares is that Sora is crucial for building really great world models.
World models, meaning models that understand how the physical world actually works.
Precisely. Physics, objects, cause and effect, how things move and interact in 3D space over time. Generating realistic video forces the model to learn those underlying rules. It's apparently a powerful way to build that deeper causal understanding of reality.
I see. So it's less about the video output and more about the internal learning process.
Exactly. And that ties into what he calls co-evolution. Remember how ChatGPT basically forced everyone, governments, schools, businesses, to suddenly grapple with AI?
Yeah, you couldn't ignore it anymore.
Sora does something similar for the visual domain. It gives us a real taste of what's coming with video generation and manipulation.
And the impact there could be even bigger, right? He argues video has much more emotional resonance than text.
Definitely. So getting people aware of the potential, especially things like deepfakes, before the tech is everywhere, it's critical. It's like a controlled preview to spur societal adaptation.
Is Sora eating up all their resources then?
He says it takes tons of compute, relatively speaking, but it's still just a fraction of their total capacity. The main research push still gets priority. But he also adds, you need some fun and joy and delight in the process, too. It can't all be just grinding towards the main goal.
Speaking of goals, let's talk about measuring progress. He kind of dismisses the old Turing test, the whole can it fool a human in conversation thing. Says it went whooshing by without much real impact.
Yeah, it happened. People noted it and then mostly moved on.
So what's his benchmark? What's the real test?
His personal threshold, the one he thinks signifies a real change to the world, is when AI can do science.
As in, make novel discoveries.
Exactly. Not just analyze existing data, but genuinely contribute new scientific knowledge. He says they're seeing tiny hints of this already, maybe with GPT-5 making small math discoveries or helping with physics or biology insights.
And he thinks this is close.
He predicts models within 2 years could be tackling bigger chunks of science and making truly important discoveries. That's the big positive impact they're aiming for, accelerating science itself.
Wow. Okay, if AI is busy doing science, how do we interact with it? Surely not just through text chat forever.
Right, the chit-chat use case is kind of saturated, as he puts it. The interfaces have to evolve. He talks about things like real-time rendered video interfaces using those Sora-like capabilities.
And new hardware.
Yeah, devices that are always ambiently aware. Think less like pulling out your phone, more like having an AI companion that understands your context constantly, offering useful notifications or help without you even asking. Much smarter than the interruptions we get now.
Okay, so this grand vision requires that massive infrastructure we talked about. What gives them the confidence to pour resources into that? Especially if it means, say, letting the current ChatGPT experience suffer sometimes.
It comes down to seeing the future, basically. He says they have insight into model capabilities a year or two in advance of the public. They know what's coming, how powerful it will be, and presumably the economic value it unlocks. That justifies spending billions up front.
And this leads to that, frankly, shocking decision he mentioned about GPUs.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty stark.
He said when GPUs are tight, they almost always prioritize giving the GPUs to research over supporting the product, even with 800 million weekly users.
It's wild, isn't it? You're essentially choosing a potential future breakthrough over keeping hundreds of millions of current users happy and potentially paying.
It's the clearest signal possible about their priorities. AGI isn't just a goal, it's the goal.
It's the only thing that ultimately matters in their strategy. They're optimizing for the world after AGI, not the world of GPT-4.
And this massive compute need leads directly to the other huge constraint, energy.
Absolutely. He sees AI and energy as intrinsically linked, maybe the two most important fields right now, because more energy historically means better quality of life.
So how do they plan to power all this, especially in the U.S.?
Short term. He thinks it has to be natural gas for a lot of the immediate new demand. It's available.
The long term?
Long term's got to be solar plus storage, and crucially, advanced nuclear place. Small modular reactors, maybe fusion down the line. And here's the really interesting strategic bet. He believes if nuclear tech becomes completely, crushingly, economically dominant, meaning super cheap and reliable.
Then the economics will force the politics to change.
Exactly. The sheer demand for cheap, abundant power driven by AI will become so overwhelming that political and regulatory hurdles will just get swept aside. Necessity becomes the mother of legalization.
That's a bold prediction. Framing energy policy as downstream of compute demand.
It is. It's quite the take.
Quickly, before we get into things like copyright and safety, he mentioned their company culture, attributed their success to running it like a VC firm.
Yeah, like a really good seed stage investing firm. Betting on researchers like their founders with bold ideas.
Giving them freedom to pursue high-risk projects.
Seems like it. Which might explain why they feel like deep learning keeps delivering these unexpected wins. It encourages continuous, ambitious bets instead of just incremental improvements.
Okay, let's talk user experience. People complain that AIs are too polite, too.
Obsequious. Yeah, he acknowledges that. Says it's technically easy to fix. The harder problem, he argues, is the sheer diversity of what users actually want. The incredibly wide distribution.
They thought one AI personality could fit all.
Apparently, that was the implicit assumption, and it was wrong. Billions of people don't all want to talk to the same person in the same way.
So the fixes?
Letting users pick a personality, or maybe having the AI adapt its style, its intellectual level, based on the conversation itself. More dynamic personalization.
Makes sense. Now, the elephant in the room, copyright. Training these models on vast amounts of data, how does that get resolved?
His current guess, and he stresses it's just a guess, is that society eventually lands on training being fair use.
Allowing models to learn from public data without crippling license fees.
Right. But if that happens, he sees a totally new model for content generation emerging, one that's tied to IP. And this leads to that really counterintuitive twist.
The idea that companies might complain if their characters aren't generated enough.
Exactly. With models like Sora getting good, rights holders might worry more about their IP losing visibility and cultural relevance if the AI doesn't generate it than about it being generated too much.
So AI generation becomes like free advertising.
Potentially the biggest, most targeted advertising engine ever. As long as there are safety guardrails, it could become irrational for IP holders not to want their stuff generated by the AI, a total flip from wanting to lock it down.
That would be a paradigm shift. Okay, last big topic, safety and regulation. What's the overall philosophy?
It starts with, interestingly, a Joseph of humility. He fully expects really bad stuff to happen because of AI. Just like fire or electricity or other major tech shifts, there will be downsides and dangers.
So regulate everything.
No, quite the opposite. His argument is that regulation should be extremely narrowly focused, only on the models that are truly, extremely superhuman capable, the absolute frontier models. Those need intense safety testing before they're let loose.
And regulating earlier, less capable
He
models.
sees that as extremely dangerous, especially for the U.S. The worry is about falling behind competitively.
Because other countries, like China, wouldn't impose the same early restrictions.
That's the core concern. Premature regulation could stifle American innovation and leadership in what might be the most important technology race ever.
So pulling this all together for the listener, what we've described is this unique entity. Part consumer tech, part research lab, part global infrastructure project, all laser-focused on AGI, to the point of sacrificing hundreds of millions of users for a few more GPUs for research. It's intense.
It really is. And it requires, as Altman says, deep humility. He warns people, investors, founders, don't make the next OpenAI mistake by just pattern matching off past tech waves. This is different.
The scale feels different. The potential impact feels different.
Absolutely. Judging AGI's potential based on GPT-4 is like judging the internet based on dial-up modems.
So the final thought for you, the listener, is this. If the economic value here is as huge as they think, reshaping science, energy, everything, what are the completely new opportunities? Not just optimizing what exists, but what brand new companies, what new ideas become possible only because of this scale of AI.
And how do you find that next breakthrough if you're not, as he might put it, deeply in the trenches, exploring ideas and actually building things right now?
It seems the future here isn't just code. It's about navigating these massive shifts in compute, energy, and maybe even reality itself. Lots to think about. We'll leave it there for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.